and this is the Adam Messer Show. I'm your host, Adam Messer, and my special guests today are Scott and Kirsten Vaughn from the Belibbering Humdingers. And if you missed the first hour, don't worry, we're going to be talking more about their music. So, Scott and Kirsten, welcome back.
Hello, hello.
How y'all doing?
Good.
Good. Well, I appreciate y'all being on the show today. So we're rolling into the second hour here, and at the end of the first hour, we were kind of talking about folk music, not folk music, but FILK, which is like news to me because I was actually reading it as folk music. I thought you had a typo, but folk music is like sci-fi type music. Is that right?
Well, we call it the music of fandom.
Yeah, that's generally how it's
fandom.
defined.
Well, that's a really generic term because fandom could be anything, right?
Right. I mean, but most of the time when you see it, it's like at a sci-fi fantasy convention, they'll have a filk circle or a filk concert or whatever. And in those cases in particular, it definitely means the music of sci-fi and fantasy fandom. Like
yeah,
a lot
and
of
the people who attend those
right.
kinds of conventions,
So
it's their music.
when the word filk started, I think was in the like 60s or the 70s, somebody was, typing out a convention program to be mimeographed or whatever, and they mistyped it, the folk sing to a filk sing, and it stuck. And people just been using that word since doing that.
And sci-fi fans being who we are, embraced it.
Right, and in our medieval reenactment group, the SCA, they use the word filk to mean parody, which is not the way that other people use it. So it's still a word that gets used in different ways, but pretty much means music.
Yeah. It looks like I've just pulled up the wiki on it real quick, but yeah, it looks like it started in the 50s.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, and it's primarily sci-fi. Of what it shows here, it says it's common traits. It says sci-fi or fantasy themed lyrics, acoustic instruments, mostly commonly guitar, creativity being as respected, its musical talent, and then community participatory gatherings rather than concerts. Concerts do exist, but are less common and less emphasized than informal social folk sings.
Right.
And then it says tunes can be traditional folk tunes with new sci-fi or high-tech words, popular tunes with rewritten lyrics of fanish topics, poems or passages from written work set to music, and original tunes and lyrics addressing some aspect of fandom. So yeah, I was, when you were saying like we just kind of like call it the fan music or whatever, I was just thinking, wow, fandom, because you could be, you could be a lot. There's a lot of different fandoms out there, right?
Right.
But sci-fi, yeah, definitely sci-fi and fantasy. I think like I played D&D like I was a kid, for maybe a summer or two with an uncle of mine. But have y'all ever watched Rick and Morty, the show?
Our
kids watch it, and we know of it, but I've never actually sat down to watch it, though I'm pretty sure I would enjoy it. They describe it as Doctor Who with no morals.
Yeah, it's pretty. But they have a Rick and Morty D&D set out now.
Oh God.
Yeah, and like that's a whole nother. I mean, like, in the Rick and Morty fans are like rabid hardcore fans, and it's just kind of like a like slapstick, but for sci-fi humor. There's really no moral to it. There's no purpose. It's just kind of like, I love the show. I like watching it because it is just really kind of mindless humor, and it could be whatever. So, did you ever hear the Szechuan sauce incident with Rick and Morty? Like,
I have heard of it, but I don't know any details surrounding it.
Yeah, well, that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of when you talk about fandom. It's like they had an episode where they were like, talk about bringing Szechuan sauce back and for the McDonald's or whatever, and people just kind of went crazy, and McDonald's did a limited run of it, and it was just a nightmare. But actually, my kids bought me a Szechuan sauce Rick and Morty T-shirt that I wear from time to time, so it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, what? How did y'all meet, and what brought you into doing this kind of music and like lifestyle?
We both went to North Carolina State University together in the early 90s, and we're actually both in design school there. She was in graphic design and I was in architecture. And we didn't really meet through classes, even though we had a lot of mutual friends.
Yeah, but no classes together or anything.
Yeah, but we both got involved with this medieval reenactment club called the Society for Creative Anachronism. And we started, after knowing each other, I don't know, 6 months or so, we started doing music together. And
right, we weren't even dating yet, were we?
That's true. We weren't. We were doing music stuff together.
And we got married not long after that.
Yeah, we started dating, and 6 months later we were engaged, and a year after that we got married. So since 1993?
We got married.
Well, 92. 92 is when we met and started doing music together.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, I met my wife in 97, and we got married in 99. So yeah, it's pretty cool. My wife's not really into any of the nerdy stuff that I like, though. But sometimes I can get my son, to do it. But he's not really into nerdy stuff either. He's more into sports and music. So I'm kind of like the only nerd in the family.
It's a thrill when your kids are into something that you are like. I am very into the music of Jethro Tull, and love to sit down and play some cover tunes and stuff. But the other night I was playing a Jethro Tull song and started singing it, and my son had his guitar and started playing along on the melody line, and I was so overcome with emotion. I started crying. I was just like, oh my God, my son is playing one of my favorite songs in the world with me.
That's so awesome.
Okay, Dad.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Actually, it's funny you say something like that, because right before the show, we went to, there's an art store called Starlandia, and they sell new and used art supplies. And my daughter, that's kind of surprised her, because she's like, I'd like to, start painting again. And I was like, oh, I love to paint, And so I took her over there and kind of surprised her and got her some, stuff for painting and all. So yeah, I know the feeling, like when your kids are doing something that you like, and you're like, oh, But I've always felt like, I feel like it's okay to introduce them to the things, but I've never really tried to push them and say, well, would you like to do this? Or, I'd offer it, but I never said like, oh, you've got to do this. And I think that compulsory stuff, like I've seen other people doing with like sports and things like that. My kids have all been active. They do dance. They've done soccer, played baseball, football, that kind of thing.
Right.
But the arts, I've always offered it to them. And then even with the sports and other stuff, it's always been, my wife and I have always been very supportive of them, of, hey, what would you like to do? But we've also said, hey, when you make that commitment, you got to follow through, at least for the season or, whatever that part is. You can't just quit in the middle because you don't like it. You got to, at least follow out. If you said, I'm going to play this season, then you play the season. And then you can quit. But not after I paid $500 for to do something.
Right. What was I going to say? I had something to say about that when they were playing their song together. You had asked us earlier about our songwriting and how that changed. Liam, our 16-year-old, is the musician who was doing that, he and I wrote a song recently about the young Han Solo, and it was Liam's guitar that, like his chords and chord progressions and stuff that made the tune for that song, and then we wrote the chorus together, and I wrote the verses.
Yeah, well, his playing style is very different from my own.
And so the whole reason they were playing music together that night was I was trying to get Liam to teach Scott how to play that song, so that when we are at our conventions in Toronto and stuff, that we can perform the song, because Liam won't be there to play the guitar.
Have you guys? I love that. Have you guys ever heard of MC Chris's Fet's Vet?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's like one of my favorites. I can't play it because I think he's got some curse words in it, but yeah, I like. I think a good satire or a good parody. I mean, there's so much stuff out there. I always think of like Airplane, the movies.
Right.
And that's what I kind of think of when, not necessarily that all your songs are, parody or whatever, but that's what I think of. It's like, okay, well, here's taking, something and like fandom, making it, a kind of a extended fandom, like people that write fan fiction. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, it is, yeah, it's sort of musical fan fiction. And that's something interesting too, that we have done, most of our songs used to be comedy, and with a few sort of very serious, almost tearjerker kind of pieces. But this, like the Han Solo one, is not a funny song, actually. It's kind of a serious song. It's called Deal Me In, and it's about how Han Solo's life was kind of sucking before he got the Millennium Falcon, and how he got his ship. So
his ship is
it's just like a funky groove to it. It's a fun song to listen to and to sing, but it's not a funny haha joke song, like a lot of
when can we expect to be able to listen to that one?
We're trying to put out an EP in the next few months here to take to some of these conventions we're going to.
we need to get
committed to anything yet, but
we're working on it.
Putting out putting out an EP is such a pain in the butt, because it costs just as much to produce a 6-song CD as it does to produce, a 12-song CD.
Yeah.
And then in the past, we haven't had much luck with putting things out just digitally on Bandcamp or wherever.
Well, a lot of the Filk fans want a CD.
Yeah, a lot of our audience are older, and they want a physical thing to hold on to.
Yeah.
They don't even know how to use MP3 players and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. But we're working on writing. We have about 5 new songs. Well, Liam and I are writing another song that's a serious song. We just started writing 2 days ago.
So I got to write some comedy, is what you're saying?
Yes, it's your turn.
We need something funny,
right? Otherwise, they're all going to be serious.
Yes,
songs.
ma'am.
Well, there you go. This is cool, because it's kind of like, oh well, hey, we got this, and you need to get on it. That's like how it works, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Very much.
That's cool. What are you looking forward to the most with your upcoming project?
Oh gosh, well, simply having something new is always fun, because I mean, there's songs we've been playing for
10 years,
12
some of the
years
Harry Potter
now,
songs,
they're like old friends. You pull them out and
we still enjoy them, and we have fans who love them and request them all the time, but we're like, it'd be nice to have something new to sing.
Yeah. So have something new to sing, to learn it and get good at doing it and memorizing it, and the challenge of all that can be fun. Just the newness of it. Yeah. Plus, I haven't really sat down with the studio stuff in
a couple of years.
Really, in a couple of years, I haven't gone into the studio and really played with it. I do a little bit of audio and video production for my day job, but those projects are few and far between, and it's very deadline driven, and very, the specifications around those projects, the things have to work a very specific way. It has to be a 60-second spot.
So if I give you deadlines and specifications, will that help you write?
No, I'll just laugh, because I know they're arbitrary. And they're not paying me several $1,000s.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, well, we did a really cool project about a year ago for Cartoon Network. Adult Swim approached us about writing a song to help promote a show that they had coming out. It was called Tigtone, Tigtone. And it's a goofy fantasy. It's Adult Swim, so it's weird to begin with.
Very weird. But fun.
Yeah, but they had us write and record a song and shoot some video, and they used it to make a promotional piece that they used on YouTube.
Yeah, you can find it if you search Filk of Tigtone.
Oh, cool.
But,
yeah. I'm actually friends with a guy named William Tokarski, who is on a couple different shows, but I don't know if you watch Adult Swim or not, but anyway, He was the killer from the Too Many Cooks video, which were really popular on Adult Swim. And then he's also on Your Pretty Little Faces Going to Hell, which is a show on there. And it's like a live action show, and they dress up. It's kind of like The Office meets Satan and Hell. Yeah, it's actually really. I think it's a funny show, but yeah, I love Adult Swim.
It's Adult Swim, so it's gonna be weird.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like Tim and Eric stuff's always like way out there to me, so it's kind of cool. But yeah, that's pretty cool. How did they hear about you? Oh, let me do a station ID real quick. We're on the 15.
Okay.
Everybody, you listen to WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. This is the Adam Messer Show, and I'm your host, Adam Messer. And my special guests today are Kirsten and Scott Vaughn from the Belibbering Humdingers. So, how did they, Adult Swim, how did they approach you, or how did they find out about you?
They went to Dragon Con, which is a huge convention in Atlanta.
Right, and they're out of Atlanta too, right?
Right, that's where they're based.
Right, and they went to the Filk track specifically looking for a Filk performer, and apparently they approached a few of us, and we were the ones who got back in a timely manner.
Yeah, that's cool.
Good job.
Yeah, it's always good to work on deadlines too. I mean, you know, Neil Gaiman talks about that. Like, there's 3 rules of, you know, getting freelance work. If you're really good and likable and you can meet deadlines, if you have 2 of the 3, so like if you are really good and you're likable but you can't meet deadlines, they'll still probably work with you if you're reasonable. If you're if you're really good and you can meet deadlines, but your work is kind of average, they'll still work with you. But if they don't like you and you can't meet deadlines and your work's awful, you just might as well hang it up.
Nobody wants to hire you for anything if that's the way you are.
I know, right? And I tell my kids that. I'm like, you know, if you're likable, you know, people forgive you. If you're not likable, they're not gonna forgive you.
Right.
And I used a different set of language for that, though. But anyway, so that's kind of cool. You said the Filk of Tigtone.
Yeah,
that's cool. I have to check that out. I've never seen that show. I cut the cord a couple years ago, and I've got, like, you know, the different digital services. Actually, I've been watching this show called The Prisoner. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but it's from like 1967. It's a British show, but it's kind of out there, like a sci-fi, like a 60s, late 60s style sci-fi, but pretty cool. This guy, basically, he's a secret agent. He resigns, and they don't like that, so they capture him and they put him in this place called the Village, and he tries to escape, and, you know, I'm only on like episode 2 now. They're like 1 hour long episodes, but it's kind of neat. They have their whole own little fandom, you know, talking about people following stuff. My friend Terry and Darlene Dremel, they're both big fans of it. And, like, you remember those old timey bicycles with the big, you know, wheel and the spokes and all that?
Yeah.
It's like, and it's on Amazon Prime if you've got Amazon Prime for the video. So I've been watching that, but they all wear these like little buttons, and it has this old timey bicycle on it. But it's set in 1968, but it talks about, like, being able to watch everything that they do, control everything that they do, you know, like very Big Brother type stuff, you know. And so, but I found out yesterday, like, there's a whole fandom of you know, of that, where people are just, you know, really big into it. Matter of fact, Terry was telling me when he was a kid, he had written to their fan club or whatever, and then when he got the letter back, it said, "We were expecting you." I was like, this is perfect. So, you know, I think that's one of the cool things about you know, fandom. It's like, it's not for everybody, but guess what? I don't want it to be for everybody. You know, you know, I mean, it'd be really cool if, like, you know, the stuff that we do, you know, we made, you know, big money and big bucks for it. You know, it'd be really cool. But that's kind of not the point of, you know, doing the art, you know, making the music or whatever. To me, it's like, you know, just making connections with people and making friends and stuff like that. So.
Very much so.
We're not doing it for the money, I'll tell you
right,
that.
Right. It's like it's a hobby that kind of pays for itself.
Sometimes. I mean, I think we had three gigs last year that did not even come out even.
Oh yeah.
Nice to come out even or a little ahead, but
well, that's why I had to change my the convention I was talking about earlier, the Savannah Quill, because the first 2 years I lost money, and so the third year I was like, I'm not gonna do that again, so I changed it up, and it was a smaller venue. We had about 50 people come out, and we had less authors, and it was just a blast. And I figured out that it's better to have a smaller venue and have more people than have a huge venue and have less people.
Yeah.
And, because really, it's not about the money. Last year I did it for free. There was free admission, so not trying to charge for admission, but, I at least don't want to lose money,
Yeah.
It's the same thing with, publishing. You put something out there. Like I had 2 books that I put out right at the end of the year. One was for my vampire novel, and then one was a book of poetry. And I really haven't sold a lot of copies of the books. Just kind of fell flat. And then I learned, I was like, oh, well, this is, my fault because I put it out at the wrong time of the year. So, it's one of those things where you put it out there, and then, I feel like you got to keep moving forward. You got to, find your tribe and find your folks or your folks.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes we'll put out.
You like the little play on words there? I'm trying to catch along with y'all. I'm trying to be in the folk,
An album or a single or a video, and we'll think, oh, this is gonna be our big break. Yeah. And after this, we're going to be famous
like
or whatever.
Big Tone thing, the Natural 20 video.
Oh, right. But it's like, no, it's the same old. It's like, hey, that was good. That was fun.
We still have the same we keep fans
going on. Yeah.
It's so crazy. I felt the same way when I wrote that, that I did a follow-up for my vampire novel series. And I was like, man, this is going to be really great, and I had like a good reception with the first book, and, and then I put it out there, and when I figured out it was the wrong time of the year was like, even my diehard, people that will always read my stuff are turning me down. And I was like, they were like, oh, we're busy, I'm doing this. And I was like, oh my gosh, putting it out at the wrong time of the year, I'm asking people too much to, take time out of their holiday stuff and their family stuff and all that. So, it was kind of like a lesson learned for me. And then, I felt like, I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. And I'm going to, I'm going to get all these new readers and da-da-da. And it was like, nah.
It's not.
Yeah. So, but I think that's one of the hard things as an artist or a writer or musician or whatever, that you have to, that's part of rejection to me. You have to be able to overcome that, right? You have to say, okay, well, maybe it wasn't received the way I thought it was going to be received, but I can build from it. I can move forward. So for me, I dove right into a new writing project, and then I actually wrote out a schedule of what I wanted to do. And it's helped me say, okay, well, I can learn from this experience, and how can I, move forward and grow?
Oh, wow.
So I'm sure y'all have experienced that too, though. Kind of, like you said, with some of the concerts, you didn't even break even. And to me, that's kind of, bad, because it's like you think about how much it costs for you for travel and, expenses and hotels and, food and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those things, I mean, you've got to do it, for the love of the art, but also, like a lot of the conventions we go to, we go to them because they're fun.
Right.
We like the people we meet there. We have a good time. Sometimes we're playing gigs because they're paying us to.
Right.
And it's like, I mean, we still manage to have a good time, but it's like, that's not our primary reason for going. It's like, we're here because they gave us plane tickets and a hotel room. And
well, we play because we enjoy doing it. And when they do that, that's great. That's
right. But better. I'm saying there are other like MarsCon. There's this great little convention in Williamsburg, Virginia. It's about 1,500 people.
Oh, wow.
Every January. And it's multi-fandom, great costuming track, great music track, lots of writers. It's just a lot of fun, and we, for us, it's almost more like a family reunion.
Nice.
Than than a gig or work or something like that.
We don't make money at that one, but we
we
have a great
time. It pays
time
for itself in other ways.
Right,
and it recharges your batteries, right?
Yes.
And that particular one is so good with bands, and we've become super friends with all the other regular bands that go, that we just have a great time hanging with them and playing music together and stuff. So
that's what I was talking about. Like, for me, it's about the relationships, building relationships with people, because I feel in our modern society, we are so inundated with commercialism. We're being sold and advertised all day long. It's nice just to be able to enjoy stuff and, say, okay, well, yeah, I want to support my friends because, they've got this cool band and they do this music, and I mean, I honestly just met y'all, so y'all are new friends to me. But, Rachel, she like strongly recommended you. And I like Rachel, and and that's cool because I love being able to connect with people, because of that. And I think a lot of folks out there are so transactional that they look at it like, okay, well, what's in it for me? What's in it for me? What's in it for me? And they don't look at like, okay, well, yeah, okay, maybe I'm not. I mean, like, honestly, I'm not. I haven't sold a bunch of books, but the folks that read my stuff and that they give me honest and genuine feedback, I love that. Give an example. I'm in a writing group, and we did a first chapter, reading swap, and this guy asked to swap with me, and we exchanged, our first chapters or whatever. And I noticed, some things like he was writing mostly in passive voice, and so I sent him a couple of resources about writing an active tense and active voice, and then he sent me back some information or some feedback about like and I don't want to give it away, but basically there was this one part where instead of me showing, I told, and then like you should show, not tell in writing. And it was just a little nuance that he pointed out. He's like, this is really cool, but it might be better if you did this. And this guy, I'd never met the guy before. It was nice to be able to get some genuine feedback from somebody who didn't know me, because, most of the time your friends and family are like, oh, it's great. It's great. It's great. It's like, right. Yeah, I love that. But, what is somebody who doesn't know me and that right. just looking at the work, what would somebody like that think? And I think that's the cool thing about, you put your stuff out there, and then, I'm sure you guys have had people come up to you that are like, oh, I found you because of da 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 da, and so I think that's really cool.
Of course, we've also been told our music is hard to knit to.
Oh my gosh, it's hard to knit to. Wow, that's cool.
One person said that, but we actually have probably 10 friends who knit to our shows all the time. So yeah.
You have a knitting group that comes out to the shows?
Not really. I mean, we just have friends who knit, and that's what they do. That's, whenever they're sitting still, they're knitting. And so they come to our concerts with their knitting bags, and they sit there and knit.
Now, that is a totally neat niche. A knitting niche. You got, like, I've never heard of anybody with that. I have some friends that knit, though.
They don't carry it everywhere they go?
I don't know. I mean, it's so crazy that you say that, because I know some people that do, but yeah, I didn't realize that. That's really cool. I guess it's like whatever your thing is, right?
Yeah, whatever your thing is.
Maybe it's just a nerd thing, because like our friend Serene, she every other Thursday I host a Dungeons and Dragons game here at our house, and she'll bring her knitting with her, and in between turns, she's sitting there knitting, and then her turn comes up and she casts a fireball and kills some hobgoblins, and then goes back to her knitting.
It's so crazy you say that, because a friend of mine posted today that if you've got Apple and you use Siri, you could say, Siri, roll a D20.
Can you?
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can get it to work on my phone. Hold on,
we're going to experiment. Hold on.
Roll a D20.
Hello.
Oh.
What can I do for you?
I didn't say it fast enough. Roll a D20.
Rolling. For this time.
And it does all of them except for a D2. It'll, you can do like a D4, D8, D12, D20, D6.
Flip a coin.
Well,
you can do flip a coin too.
Yeah, that's a D2.
Let's see if I can do it.
All right.
Let's see if it'll work. Hold on 1 second here.
Roll a D6.
Roll a D6.
Okay.
4 again.
Oh. Yeah, I can't. For some reason, I can't pull up Siri right now.
All right, this is.
Hey, I got a 14 this time. At least.
Okay, well, maybe you made your saving throw.
There we go.
It depends on DC.
I just thought it was so cool because you can't really argue with that. It's like,
right?
well, Siri said it was an 8 out of 20, so not a crit. I'm sorry, not sorry.
This is good to know. Now that's one more app I can remove from my phone because I have a die rolling app on here for just in case I ever forget my dice and I'm gaming.
You're never.
Or like you're in a bar and you get in a fight and you need to roll initiative against a biker or something.
Yeah. Everybody, let's do the station ID again. Let's do this, Savannah.
This portion of WRUU Savannah Soundings programming is made possible by listeners like you and by the 2020 Savannah Music Festival, presenting Americana artists Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit, Mandolin Orange, Balsamic Range and Third Time Out, Sarah Giroux and Madison Cunningham, Leo Kotke, Amethyst Kia, Bruce Hornsby and the Noisemakers, and more. Additional information can be found at savannahmusicfestival.org.
Okay, and you are listening to the Adam Messer Show here on WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. I'm your host, Adam Messer, and my special guests today are the Blibbering Humdingers with Scott and Kirsten Vaughn. And we were just talking about how you can roll a D20 on Siri with Siri. And so I always thought it was so cool because I was like, I saw the Rick and Morty D&D set and I was like, my kids and I have never played D&D, but the last couple of years I've been focusing on writing, but I used to play a lot of like MMOs and kind of wanted to play some D&D, but I don't know. I'm kind of, I like people, but I don't want to get together every other week per se to play D&D. I would love to play like an online version of the role-playing game, not necessarily the video game, but like to be able to, like have an asynchronous,
sure,
session or whatever,
Right.
And
I had developed my living room so that we could have a gaming room. I now have a huge table and a bunch of chairs instead of a couch.
That's cool. That is so cool. Like I like that and I love that. But I don't know. I'm one of those guys. I'm like, I don't know if I can commit to something like that. And you really kind of have to get into it. And for it to work, you kind of have to commit to saying, hey, I want to do this, this campaign or whatever. Yeah. So, but I saw the Rick and Morty set and I was like, that is so tempting. I would love to maybe pick that up and then just, play. But my kids aren't really into, those kind of things. So,
right. Yeah. If they're not. Yeah. Or if you don't have a group of friends who are.
Well, I've got a group of friends that they get together weekly, but they're, it's kind of set already. And so it's kind of like I'd have to get into like a new, I'd have to make like a new group or something like that. And I don't really want to DM stuff. I don't know. I'd have to find somebody. And here's the other thing too, is like, I'm really funny about like, I like nerdy stuff, but I don't like the know-it-all nerds.
No, you get a lot of those. In the
yeah. I'm like, come on. Like, let's just, we're here to have a good time, not to argue minutia.
Right. Yeah. So. It's like we try really, like my game, I have it every other Thursday night, and whoever makes it, and we play. And I've got a very, very flexible, episodic sort of. It's not a very story-driven campaign.
Oh, okay.
Characters come and go, and it's very episodic. And
so you could just play the one night and be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's
and
cool.
we mostly, it's an excuse to get together and drink and eat takeout food and hang out with each other. And sometimes we get a little bit into the rules, but for the most part, it's more about let's just have fun.
Yeah.
It's like, what would be, forget the rules, what would be more fun in this situation? And let's do that.
Yeah, I've kind of turned into more of a casual gamer when I do play. I'm actually kind of looking forward to they've got Minecraft Dungeons is coming out.
Oh.
Yeah, so I like playing the little co-op games with friends and stuff like that. But I like stuff that I got so into like playing WoW and
Right.
raiding and all that stuff. I got really burnt out, and I looked at the time sink and I was like, I could be doing something productive. Like I could be doing something else. So I kind of changed it up, but I like that part, and being able to like hang out with friends and do something like that, kind of nerdy.
Yeah.
So
well, if I could suggest the next song that you might play, we have one called Natural 20.
All right, let me pull that up because we haven't played any this hour yet.
Oh, okay. And it's, I mean, for people who don't know anything about tabletop role-playing games, you've got different kinds of dice, and in games like Dungeons and Dragons, when you roll the 20-sided die and a 20 comes up, that usually signifies that not only do you succeed, but you succeed spectacularly and miraculously against against all odds. And so that's sort of what the song is about for people who don't understand that game mechanic.
All right, so I've got it here on YouTube. Let's play it.
All right.
We were surrounded by an army of undead, a cleric down to -5, a rabid hobgoblin gnawed off the fighter's head, but we knew with luck that we would survive. Natural 20, I can move mountains, I can swim across the sea in full armor, fight off a horde of zombies. Natural 20, I can slay dragons with a short sword and a sling. Natural 20, you're all I need. A portal opened and unleashed the fiends of hell. A Balrog looking mighty pissed. We tried to banish him but couldn't work the spell. We'll have to fight, I hope we don't miss. Natural 20, I can move mountains, I can swim across the sea in full armor and fight off a horde of zombies. Natural 20, I can slay dragons with a short sword and a sling. Natural 20, you're all I need. And after the battle, we went to the inn to relax a while. We spent all our treasure on gambling and women and booze. My dwarf made a pass at the barmaid, we think that she might have smiled. But the halfling had too much to drink and threw up on my shoes. So really, I'm gonna try to ask out the barmaid.
Okay, make a charisma check. What's your bonus?
I don't have a charisma bonus. I mean, nobody puts points in charisma unless they're a sorcerer or a bard. That's just lame. Besides, I've got a dwarven warbelch. Who needs charisma when you've got a dwarven warbelch?
Okay, make your roll. But you're at a -2 because of the halfling vomit.
All right. Sweet. Natural 20, I can be charming. I can get my drinks for free. I wink at wenches and pick up a barmaid or three. Natural 20, take down beholders with a toothpick and some string. Natural 20, you're all I need. Natural 20, I can move mountains, I can swim across the sea in full armor and fight off a horde of zombies. Natural 20, I can slay dragons with a short sword and a sling. Natural 20, you're all I need.
And cut.
There you go. Natural 20.
Yeah, we actually recorded a music video for that one.
That's the one I was watching.
Oh, you were both okay. You were playing that version.
So that's an older version of the recording. We've done a newer recording of it.
It's not that much newer, but
well, you were just talking about it.
That was music videos are so much fun to shoot, but they take so much work if you're, have no budget.
Oh yeah.
And we basically recruited
all of
just
our friends who had
and
costumes.
even people we didn't know, but we put out a call to the local Renaissance Fair and convention people and all that sort of thing. So just a bunch of LARPers and nerds showed up, and we just had a great afternoon.
Does the filk of Tigtone, is it clean or does it have curse words in it?
I think it's clean.
It's clean.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I can play that too.
Yeah.
Let's play that one.
Sure.
All right. This is the filk of Tigtone.
It won't make a lot of sense if you don't know the show.
No, it sums up the show perfectly.
I'll sing of a quest or a quest. The hero is Tigtone. He fights for the king, being more better than best. He fights for proclaiming he's Tigtone. Forget that he burned down your forest and food. Brush off all the bruises and bones that protrude. Ignore that your house homes are all barbecued. The world is at stake for Tigtone. Worthier quest or a Festus is vain, with helpy to helpy him Tigtone. He quests with his cunning, his strength, and his name. A side quest, he'll take it, he's Tigtone. Who cares if he conjured a dead giant wizard? So what if he set off a flood or a blizzard? Just clean up the glass from the windows he shattered. Don't make a mistake, hire Tigtone. Your bones may all break because of Tigtone. He once saved a snake lady, Tigtone. The world is at stake for the mightiest champion of all the lands, defeater of the evil Sultan Riopio, co-recipient of the giant's golden heart enchantment, and vanquisher of the seven-headed serpent of gloom. He's Tigtone.
That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was. I don't know if you noticed the living room in both of those videos was exactly the same.
That's our living room.
That's our gaming room.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, on the Tigtone one, there was actually budget to hire a real videographer and do lighting and all that sort of thing. So that was a super fun day that we did.
And our kids are in both of those videos too.
Yeah,
right.
I saw that. That was cool. Yeah. That's pretty neat. Everybody, you're listening to WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. I'm your host, Adam Messer, and this is the Adam Messer Show, and my special guests today are Scott Vaughn and Kirsten Vaughn from the Blibbering Humdingers. So let's talk, we've got about maybe 10 minutes left. Talk to me about the Blibbering Humdingers name.
It's an obscure Harry Potter reference.
So one of the characters is named Luna Lovegood, and she and her dad are always looking for these magical creatures who other people think don't exist. These creatures don't exist. It's sort of like they run a magazine called The Quibbler, which is the Wizarding World's version of the Enquirer. And so they're always looking for the crumplehorn snorkack and the Nurgles and all these creatures that everyone else thinks are all made up.
Right. And I think twice in the book she says something about a blibbering humdinger. And near the very end of the last book, Harry is trying to get away from the Great Hall to go to Dumbledore's office.
After the final battle,
so
he just wanted to get away.
Yeah, to create a distraction for him, Luna just stands up and points at the window and says, "Oh, look, it's a blibbering humdinger."
We were reading this together, and we kind of looked at each other when we got the book at midnight, the 7th book, and we took turns reading a chapter out loud to each other. And when that happened, we looked at each other and went, "There's our name. That's it.
That's our Wizard Rock
Band."
There
wasn't even any discussion.
Wow.
No discussion about it. It was just like, "Yep,
that's it.
There it is."
That's cool. I love when you have that kind of synergy.
Yeah.
So, well, that's pretty cool. I'm trying to think. What else could we talk about? Like, I know we talked about the music and we talked about going around. What keeps y'all going with the obviously, you do it because you love it, but what keeps you moving forward and doing it?
I actually really love being asked to be the guest of honor at music conventions, or even just to come and perform a concert. Hey, we'll give you a hotel room and an airfare, just come play us a concert. And that's awesome, because that means what we're doing is special enough for someone else to put effort into bringing us to play for new people, and I just really love doing that.
Yeah, for me it's about the same. It's really the audience keeps appreciating what we do. People keep coming to shows, people keep laughing at the jokes and clapping and
Singing
talking
along
to us, and the more places we go, like you said. Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, like you said before, it's a lot about the connections that you make with people. And, we keep going to things and we keep meeting really cool people who are like into our work and vice versa. Like there's a handful of published authors out there that we will swap CDs for books with them.
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And they'll come to our shows and I'll read their books. I was talking to one friend about actually writing a song based on one of her book series. I haven't done anything with it yet, but it's like, I still want to do this.
There you go. It's not comedy though, so you have to write a comedy song.
That's
first,
true. It wouldn't be comedy at all.
Oh, okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So y'all are big readers. That's really cool. Do you like? Well, the Harry Potter stuff is pretty cool. What else? What other kind of stuff do you like to read?
I have been reading the Witcher series right now. That was really big on Netflix, and I've been listening. Writing some Witcher stuff would be fun, actually.
Yeah, it's like super popular. They actually said something about the third video game has been like shot back up to a top slot for sales because of the Netflix series.
Oh, wow.
I have thought about getting into the video games.
Yeah.
I'm not a big
I have a
console gamer.
I have a friend who won't watch the shows until he's played through the games.
Really?
Yeah.
They're not that connected.
I know that's what I said, but that doesn't matter to this person.
Yeah, what else? You read a lot of like romance and stuff about shifters and
I like
dragons and aliens.
Paranormal
romance, we'll call it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I have a friend that writes that kind of stuff.
Cool.
And then I'm always up to read Terry Pratchett, who does like comedic fantasy.
What did y'all think about Good Omens?
I've only watched the first 2 or 3 episodes and have enjoyed it.
I loved it. I thought it was really, really good.
Well,
we love Gaiman, so
yeah, Neil Gaiman. I'll read just about anything he writes.
What about The Hogfather? Did you ever read that or watch the video?
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever actually read it. I know I've watched the show that was made and really enjoyed that.
I think we've read it. I don't know. I lose track of there's so many.
I know.
Yeah,
I
know.
So much Terry Pratchett. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but I just started kind of getting back into reading fiction. I read a lot as a kid, but as an adult, I mostly read books on management and leadership and self-development. And
oh, wow.
one of the things the last year or so that I've tried to force myself to do is read more fiction. And I've read a lot of good stuff, and I've read a lot of not so good stuff. So
yeah,
I try to balance it. I really try to give an indie author a fair shake when I'm reading their stuff. But one of the big turnoffs for me is passive voice. Like I just can't get into people that are that write mostly in passive voice, and I know that there are a lot of folks out there that like that, especially like with fantasy and things like that. But I like active tense, and I like action and active voice. So I'll try to give it a fair shake and try to read through. But there's been quite a few that I'll read like the first chapter or two, and then I'll browse to like the final page if I'm not really digging it. And I'm like, oh, I just can't. I can't finish this.
Yeah,
I've done that recently a few times. But you know what? I've read some of the paranormal romance stuff recently that was written in active voice, and it was jarring. Like, I don't know if it's some of those things that were like two authors were taking turns or something, but it's like all of a sudden this chapter feels totally different than another chapter.
Oh yeah, disjoint. Like I've seen people that write together as pairs, and it's totally disjointed. And or they'll switch from like third person to first person, and and I it's kind of weird because like when it comes to listening to someone like say an autobiography, I'm okay with first person, but I don't really dig the whole first person perspective when it comes to books.
Yeah, no, me neither. Ugh, yeah.
Yeah, I like the third person omniscient. I'd rather kind of be like follow along with the narrator versus follow along with the perspective of one character.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool. But again, there's a lot of kind of like Filk. There's a lot of stuff out there. Everybody has their own thing.
Right. Well, and I even have to think about that kind of thing when I'm writing a song, like the Han Solo song I was talking about. Like, do I want to say you or them or me? I have to figure out who's singing the song, whose perspective it's from, who's it being sung to,
The audience, yeah, and
then stick with that the whole way through.
Yeah. It is. I think that's a challenge for any creative person. Is it's like what message do you want to send out there to the world, and who do you want to receive the message?
Right.
Because if you're just writing for yourself, that's cool, that's fine.
Yeah.
But don't get upset when somebody doesn't get your
Right.
work. So, well, we're getting ready to wrap it up. Where can people check out more information about the Blibbering Humdingers?
Yeah, the best place to go is blibberinghumdingers.com. You'll need to autocorrect your phone because your phone will go to blubbering.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blubbering to blubbering and change it back to blibbering.
It's blibbering, and there's links to all of we post on our Facebook now and then, and there's links to like Spotify and Bandcamp, and
we have some of our merchandise on my Etsy page a little bit, but I think there's a link to that on there.
But the main website has links to all that stuff, so that's the best place to start, and people can find more from there.
Well, I really appreciate both of you being on the show today, Scott and Kirsten. So thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing some of your music and some of the little behind the scenes stuff with because I actually thought folk, you misspelled it. It's actually folk. So I learned something new today. So well, thanks y'all. Up next, everybody, is the Savannah at Night crew, and with Bill Cooper and the gang.
RUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul.